I always post like I'm up in Hayward and everybody's asking what lake, and I always make sure I don't say the lake because I don't want them catching my big fish.
You gotta
That's
keep
rule number one.
Hey, it's Midwest Legends Podcast. I'm Russell Nicolay here with the original Wisconsin creator, Ryan Ruebl. Ryan, thanks for being here, man.
I appreciate it, man. I don't know if I'm a legend, but as I always say, I'm just a guy from Wisconsin, so I'm trying to help people out, but excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, well, you're ice fishing, drinking old fashions, finding the fish fries, creating Wisconsin content, since over a decade. So yeah, you go back. You got roots. I'm interested to talk to you. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
So you grew up, or you're born in Rhinelander, lived in Crandon, and got to Rice Lake, right? Mm-hmm. And then now you live in Chippewa Falls area.
Yep. Been in Chippewa for 20 years.
Yeah.
Obviously grew up north of Highway 8, but
yeah.
I love Chippewa Falls. I only live about 4 miles from the Lion and Kugel's brewery.
I love that area. I mean, and you got the confluence of the Eau Claire and the Chippewa. There's nothing like it. Plus Chippewa River. I mean, because you're Chippewa Falls, but going up like, is that 179 that runs along at the river road?
Yep. That's a beautiful area.
I love that area, man. I love that area. You got there's some old bridges, but I don't know if they're tearing one down. But anyway, that's an awesome place. I mean, it's a good thing for you to be, as kind of being the original voice of Wisconsin on social media, to be in Western Wisconsin in that area, because it's like, it's a beautiful area, and it really encompasses all, like you've got hunting, fishing, ice fishing, obviously, but it's just whenever I would go there, I'd be like, this is Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And it's just, it is speaks for
You're
itself.
literally like, you're still technically up north, but you're close to Eau Claire, Altoona, all those little small cities and towns, which there's still 100,000 people in the location.
Yeah.
But it still feels up north to me too.
Well, it's so spread out. I mean, as you can see, like if you ever been up to Lake Holcomb up in that area, it's got much more developed than it used to be years ago, but it's still rural. And you go up, like we were talking about, you go up the River Road and you go through Cornell and everything, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So,
I love the area. But we are spoiled. We're blessed to have all these beautiful lakes.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of lakes, we love our fish fries in Wisconsin too. So honestly, like I know you just mentioned that I've been doing Wisconsin content for a long time, and I've been promoting the fish fry for a very long time.
Yes.
My very first fish fry I ever did, promoted on my Meanwhile Wisconsin page, was actually my own fish fry. So caught some bluegills, used some Liney's beer batter, fried it up, threw it on a picture on social media, and everybody's like, man, that looks good. Can you give me the recipe? How do you do that? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started promoting the Wisconsin fish fry. So way back in, I think it was 2012, 2013. So
wow. Well,
early.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen. So like you were the original one out with the Wisconsin content, and then I believe if I'm correct, is that Charlie Barron's actually reached out to you at some point and was like, hey, I want you're the authority on Wisconsin content. I want to run this past you. And I think it was the Titanic thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way back in 2016, he reached out.
Yeah,
and he sent me if Jack Dawson was really from Wisconsin, and he did the voiceover of the Titanic, and I watched it. It was like, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. And I'm like, this guy's pretty funny. And he's like, well, can you post this to your page?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Wisconsin page. I think I had 150, almost 200,000 followers back then still. And then posted it, helped blow it up for him. And then actually another year later, he came up with a Manitowoc Minute, and he reached out and asked if I could post that on my page also. And after that, we kind of became buddies, and we started creating content together. But some of that early stuff, like way back in 2019, is some of the best stuff.
It is.
I think. Like the very first big Wisconsin collaboration ever was me, Charlie Barron's, Alex Worley, who Chris Cruzy, and then Charlie's friend Serena B, who's a friend of him or a friend of his in Milwaukee. But it was called Stuff Wisconsin, I'd say. And it was my idea just to take a bunch of one-liners and have a bunch of multiple people say Wisconsin content. Like we talked about fish fries, old fashions, a little bit of everything. And I think it got like 3.5 million views in like 2 days. And Charlie found out like, we're definitely onto something here. And then we kept working together. So But
I think at that time, right, Charlie was doing some comedy stuff kind of out in LA, and he went out there for a bit.
yeah, and he was out in LA.
He kind of helped him get back to his roots of Wisconsin here.
I think so. Yeah. We definitely helped each other out.
Sure,
everything I do on my content is exactly who I am and what I'm passionate about. So we definitely help each other out.
And that's why I was going to pick your brain later and not put you on the spot, but I know you're kind of, I'd say an authority, whether it's from the social media or just from you being who you are and having living, born and raised in Wisconsin. I asked you a few things about old fashions and supper clubs and, and all that kind of stuff that I know is right in your wheelhouse. So I'll get into that too.
Yeah.
But I know at some point, so I think you were pretty big into cars and then you were also, which is a weird turn, but I mean, this stuff happens, but I also, at some point, for what you were doing for a living is you were selling on eBay smartphones, right?
Yep. Yeah. Way back in 2010. Back in 2010, only 20% of the population had smartphones. So I was kind of onto that niche really fast or early on eBay. So I would literally just buy them off eBay, resell them. And then
I think I heard, maybe it was a podcast that you were generating some big revenue doing that. So
yeah, it was a 6-year span, $1.6 million just out of my house. So, but
yeah, well, just out of my house.
But nobody was onto it back that far or that early. But obviously,
you saw that.
I kind of saw the potential of smartphones, and I'm like, who knew that we could literally just do content and have everything on our smartphones these days? We don't really need a computer or whatever, but technically.
Probably open your eyes into the content creation, realizing that this is going to be the future. People are going to be consuming stuff right on their phone, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's fun too, because as someone that is kind of an entrepreneur myself, I feel like there's a lot of folks, and I'm sure it's all over, but in Wisconsin especially, you run into a lot of people that even if they're not a full-time entrepreneur, they're doing it like for a side thing. And I love to see that. I mean, obviously you made it it was your source of income, and now you also are an entrepreneur in social media, but so this is what you do for a living. But I just think that's pretty cool because you run into so many people, and it's just that, I don't know, that self-sufficient, kind of character that a lot of Wisconsin people have.
I actually had, technically 3 different businesses running at the same time. So I was building social media.
Sure.
Plus I have my auto body collision degree inside of mechanical. So I was detailing vehicles out of my own garage at home too. So a little side cash there, but I was a busy guy. But I picked social media number 1 because it was all my passions.
Yeah.
But
and I think sometimes you start with a bunch of different things and you work towards all right, this is the one that I like the most, right? And for you, it's social media, and it works well, and I'm just going to go down that route.
Yep.
You start with a wider net, and you start working that way. And then, obviously, things got busier. Like, I think it was after, 2012, doing more social media, and then eventually, if I remember, it was like 2019, 2020, when you kind of went full-time social media.
Yep. Kwik Trip actually reached out right before COVID hit. It was kind of like a blessing in disguise. And I signed a contract with them and I quit my full-time job at the time too. So I was able to stay home with my daughter and still do full-time content creation. So thank you, Kwik Trip.
Well, and it's cool because Kwik Trip is such a staple in the Midwest, and anybody you see even more in Minnesota now too, but anybody that's been in northern Wisconsin, Kwik Trips are kind of a hub now. They're obviously the best gas station. I don't just say that because we work with them too. It's just because when I was on the road, that's where I always went. But you go to a Kwik Trip now, and you got the food. Obviously, you got an awesome beer cave, right? Absolutely. But there's the hot food. There's actually grocery. There's just so much stuff, and it's helpful. Because in some of the communities, like that's the place where you can easily go and get eggs and bacon or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's literally what I do is just go grocery shop at Kwik Trip and get everything, all my meat, all cheese, the brats, everything Wisconsin. Plus, you got to grab some beer in the beer cave.
Right, that beer cave is there for no reason, right?
Right? It's the most Wisconsin thing there is in Kwik Trip.
Well, and I've always been a big coffee drinker ever since probably college, and so I always thought it was great at Kwik Trip because they have like the fresh ground coffee. They just make everything nice. You get there and you're like, this is a decent place, and so it's clean, it's nice. Get fresh coffee, you get cold beer. It really can't beat that. So,
and they keep expanding like crazy. Right. There's like well over 800, maybe 900 now, something like that. But then Quick Star expanding west.
Yeah, they're in Fargo, North Dakota now. So, and then I think they're in the UP, Michigan right now.
Yep.
and then I believe in Northern Illinois, but I'm sure they're just going to keep moving. I mean, the Midwest, obviously, that's up for debate. What is the Midwest? But I would say all those states, it's pretty clear those are the Midwest. So I don't think anybody fights for that.
No, absolutely.
I hear when you start getting further south, there's a little bit of a battle. I've heard people say, "Oh, Midwest." Like, I guess I don't know. I mean, you don't consider that in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and Illinois, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're doing your thing. You get sponsored by Kwik Trip. You got to deal with them, which is awesome. Great Midwest partnership. Obviously, they recognize, hey, this is the guy that's creating Midwest content. He's especially Wisconsin focused, right? And then it sounds like you got sponsored by Chevy at some point too, which awesome sponsorship.
Yeah.
I'm a Chevy guy. Sorry, Ford. I mean, Ford makes good trucks, but I've always been a Chevy guy. I had a lifted Chevy when I was a kid, and I got a Chevy now. So.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of like Chevys, like way back in 1985 when I was a kid in Crandon going to the brush run and off-road races.
Yeah.
My favorites were the all black Chevy trucks or the Chevy trucks with the roll bars. So it was like a dream come true to actually get a Chevy with a roll bar through a sponsorship, which would have been Wheelers out of Marshfield. So yeah, I signed with them way back like a few years ago already. So they actually were very forward thinking. They actually reached out to me in 2019 before Kwik Trip even did.
Really?
But it took a couple of years to get
all
locked down because we were all brand new and fresh to figure out like partnerships and how everything worked. So, but
yeah, even now it's kind of getting dialed in a little bit more, but it was, especially back then, like a brand new frontier. Like what, so we're going to sponsor us, how does that work? What do we do? How do you agree to that? Right? Like what is and then, so you're kind of blazing your own trail there, and obviously those guys believed in you. They just had to get it figured out. But Kwik Trip's been pretty forward thinking now on social media around other than most businesses. I mean, especially gas stations, right? They saw, oh, this guy's Wisconsin. Let's do that.
And I think one thing is like Kwik Trip and Chevy and the Packers all work together.
Yeah.
So it's another perfect fit. Yeah. Plus, I feel like one of my favorite pieces of content I ever did for Kwik Trip was taking out the Kwik Trip sponsored Corvette. That was like 4 years ago. So I got to go down to the headquarters, drive around the Kwik Trip Corvette downtown. I even took like Paige, her and I went to brunch and had some breakfast together.
Yeah.
Pulled up at the restaurant with a Kwik Trip Corvette and just tear it around town. That was fun. I'm like, a car guy just driving around
driving around their Corvette. Yeah, that's a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah.
I like you have a piece of content where you go to your fridge and it's like stocked with like Kwik Trip bacon, maybe there's Kwik Trip cheese, and then there's just a frozen fish. I can't remember what it was, if it was a walleye.
It was a walleye.
It was
I just did that. So I didn't purposely do that, but I'm like, I had noticed, I'm like, that walleye's still in there from 2 years ago. I forgot to take it out. So I was promoting Kwik Trip bacon, their meat and their steak. I'm like, and sometimes you forget there's a walleye in your freezer from 2 years ago. That's how you know you're officially from Wisconsin.
I figured you didn't set that up.
I was in there. That sucker was.
That's what makes it pretty cool. Like you said, that's authentic, man. You're doing the Kwik Trip thing. You've been doing, you did obviously stuff with Charlie. You've done other partnerships, and you're continuing to do cool, fun stuff. I know you talked about this in the past, but you like to give the Bears or the Chicago folks a hard time. When they die, with that one post you had about dyeing the river, the Chicago River green or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that got a lot of attention.
Yeah, like thanks for dyeing the Chicago River green. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it got like 4 million views in like 24 hours, just ripping on Chicago over St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I mean, it was well played. It was, and I think they knew too. But it was also, that you get them pretty fired up, and that's what I was going to tell you when you came in here is, and you saw some of it on social media because you saw Wisco dive bar review Jared out, and he ran it because what happened is Jim McMahon was up here, and for Midwest legends, I've been trying to get anybody that's a legend, and so I was actually we were talking to Jim McMahon because. It's 85 Bears, but he also won a Super Bowl as a backup quarterback for the Packers. He played for the Vikings. He's pretty much a Midwest legend, whether you like him or not. He is, and so I thought we got out to him, and he said, "Yeah, if you want to come down to Arizona," I'm like, "Oh, geez, I don't know if I'm making Arizona." then it showed there was like some way he worked with somebody. They were coming up here to do some kind of, go to like a casino, go to this bar, do some kind of little tour. And so we reached out to him and we're like, hey, actually, it looks like you're gonna be up here. He's like, I am. And so we got him in here. And, we had it somewhere, but he signed a picture of him and Walter Payton.
That's awesome.
And then he gave me a Bears jersey. And he signed it, to Russell, Jim McMahon. But so that's going to come out. We got a lot of cool stories. I wish though, if in a perfect world, I'd have Mike Ditka here. And when you're here, have Ditka come in and we'll bring him in.
That would be legendary.
I know. So I know you give those guys a lot of, the Illinois folks and Chicago Bears folks a lot of crap, but it was fun to see Jim McMahon. And then also I did ask him, what was the best because I don't know if you ever saw that content, but he said in an interview once that the Green Bay Packers organization was the best organization.
I saw that.
He agreed. He said it again on this podcast. Yeah. He said, I didn't say it was the best team. It was the best organization, but he liked Green Bay, it was just interesting to talk to him because having never met the guy, having known, he was the last guy to win the Super Bowl for the Bears, right, in '85, right?
And I was literally snapping Jared the other day while he was hanging out with Jim. So, and Jared even said, he's taking the Packers over the Bears as far as a team and organization, and that made my day. Yeah. So. And I agree with him too. But it's really cool that he won a Super Bowl with the Packers also. So
yeah, well, and he also says, and I won't give it too much, but the ring that he got with the Packers was much better than the Bears ones.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah, you'll have to watch the interview because I think we only had about an hour with him, and he had to catch a plane, so we squeezed him in here. But we got a lot of content from him, and it was fun to ask him stories and ask him a little bit about playing for the Packers, playing with Brett Favre, playing with Reggie White. He actually played with Reggie White too in Philadelphia. So it was good. It was just cool to ask him. But, that's probably the first Bears jersey that I've ever had. But having it signed by, he gave it to me from Jim McMahon. It's pretty sweet, man. I'll keep this one. So
I love that dude. Like he really doesn't care like what he says either. He's straightforward and just he'll rip on the Bears even. So I made my day.
You gotta listen to it. He has a good story too about that I've never heard about when he met. So first meeting Ditka, which everybody's heard that story, but there's one of them, him meeting George House, and he didn't hold back when I was talking to him. Like you said, he just doesn't care. He just shoots it straight. But anyway, so I always think you do the '85 Bears stuff a lot, and kind of that's been the claim to fame for the Bears for quite some time. The Bears fan base.
I just reverse it, and instead of making it a positive thing, I do the character and rip on them instead. Plus, I pick on the Bears. If I'm out fishing as the Bears character. You see a bass, you call it a walleye instead, or you see a whitetail, you call it a moose. Yep. Because people from Chicago, they don't know their fish or deer. Most of them don't, but some do.
Well, and you also do the it's when you're drinking an old fashioned, and somebody from Chicago will ask you, "What's that?" And I forget what do you call it? Some Kool-Aid. What did you?
Oh, I call it a Wisconsin Kool-Aid.
Yeah, Wisconsin Kool-Aid.
Like, what is it? Oh, Wisconsin Kool-Aid. They won't think twice about it. I won't tell them it's an old fashioned because they don't know how to make them in Chicago anyway. So
I suppose you ran into your share of folks from Illinois over the, probably ever since you can remember. I mean, same with me as growing up in Wisconsin, especially being in the Northwoods quite a bit. So, and there's some definite fun interactions to say the least. So.
Yeah, stereotypes are 100% real. I just call them blue plates. So
blue plates.
They're driving north again. You got to watch out for blue plates.
So we're talking about the different things that you do content-wise, and you do a lot. And I think it's one of your favorite drinks. I could be wrong. I know you like beer, and I know you got your Chedka, but old fashions, right? That's it's a staple, obviously, in Wisconsin. But is that one of your go-to drinks? I mean, I see you on social media with those quite a bit on a
the brandy old fashioned sweet. I've been promoting for literally years, and I love them so much. I like sweeter drinks too, but the brandy old fashioned, iconic staple. I drink a lot of Barron's brandy when I can. Shout out to Charlie.
Yep.
But I actually love a lot of blackberry whiskey now too. I'm getting into blackberry whiskey old fashions, or like the smoked old fashions too are extremely good. So
well, that's what I was going to ask you is what's the favorite kind of mix for you? I'm not saying it as a mix, but is there ingredient wise for old fashioned that you like to see something? Because I know there's differences out there depending what kind of brand you use or whatever.
Yeah, just regular brandy old fashioned sweet for me, but I've been really getting into like the smoky old fashions where they actually put it inside a wooden box and light the top of it on fire, and it smokes it. So I've really been getting into those lately.
You're mixing up a bit with that.
Yeah. You know, and then like I said, blackberry. I think it's gonna be very popular down the road too. Like,
and that's blackberry whiskey.
Yeah, blackberry
not brandy
whiskey.
though.
Yeah. So I like both, but number one is brandy old fashioned.
Because when you're outside of Wisconsin, they do different kind of old fashions. I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, you don't want to order outside of Wisconsin, really. Like,
I've done it, not realizing it, and then quickly you realize it's not the same kind of old fashioned. So
yeah.
And they're like, what's wrong with this? Yeah. And I'm like, no, what's wrong with yours?
You got to find a bartender from Wisconsin if originally that's the only way you're going to do it. So,
well, and that's, I don't know if I can ask you if that's fair, because I don't want to put you in the spot, because I know there's so many great places that you've been to and that you like. You know, I was going to say, what's your favorite place to get old fashioned? So maybe the other places, another question, fair question, be where's like, if you, I mean, unless you can answer it, if you say, hey, this is the place I love.
I think so. It's actually one of the very first supper clubs I ever went to when I was going to school in Menominee. I went to the UW Stout, but I went to Jake's Supper Club.
Yeah.
And a little secret, they have $3 old fashions on Thursdays. So, but they mix a perfect brandy old fashioned sweet. So
that's Jake's
Supper Club in Menominee.
Okay.
They're actually in the Wisconsin Fish Fry Guide.
Yeah.
as
And
well.
you were kind enough to give me this thing.
Yeah.
So I don't, and since we're on that, so this is the destination guide for different fish fries throughout Wisconsin, right?
Yep. So 108 locations, supper clubs, dive bars, every kind of fish fry you can think. And we created it with the Wisconsin Supper Club chasers, my friends, Jim and Michelle, and also Evan from Venture, Wisconsin. So if you go there, you can get $10 off if you show them the destinations guide.
Yeah, this is sweet though, because I think, you know, if you're in a new area, especially, I know now people go and do VRBOs and whatever, Airbnbs, but you could literally take that and go, all right, you know, I'm going to try a new supper club or whatever, and then just check that out and find one locally, right? And just, you don't have to be able to get a hold of Ryan and ask him. You can just get the fish fry review.
Right.
So,
and you could actually scan the QR code on your phone, and it shows you exactly where to go, the address, everything. So you don't even have to think. You just type straight into your GPS.
All you got to be thinking about is fish fry and old fashioned, and you're there, right?
Yep. Yeah.
What's the most? Is there a place that's maybe either underrated or just not known that's for old fashions? Do you have any suggestions on that? Is there a place that people that you know that just maybe that people just don't know about?
Honestly, since we're on the fish fry, I think one of my favorite old-fashioned places is up north, just south of Hayward.
Okay.
Stone Lake. It's called Pine Ridge.
All right.
It's kind of like a hidden gem, but if you know about it, there's actually a line out the door with like 500 people in the middle of the summer just to get in. So Pine Ridge it's all you can eat walleye and chicken, potatoes.
Okay.
For $18.50, so you can't beat that.
Not a bad.
And there's a reason there's a line out the door, but they make amazing old fashions as well.
Okay.
So, the owner, John, is an extremely good guy too. So I always like to back up really good family-owned businesses.
Yeah.
So.
And so that's a good place to get fish fry and old fashioned.
Absolutely.
That was the other question I was going to ask you about fish fries. But and I know there's different kind of fish fries, especially like when I grew up over in Green Bay, we'd go sometimes get perch. You got bluegill. Is there a favorite that you have, or does it just depend on the mood?
I love perch is number one probably because it's got a little sweeter taste than walleye. But I do love like pan fried walleye rather than deep fried. So. And if you can find a really good pan-fried walleye, I highly recommend it. Like Jake's Supper Club has it for sure.
Okay.
A few other places like River Jam's right close to my house, and Chippewa Falls has amazing pan-fried walleye. They're in the Fish Fry Guide also. So a little bit. There's places like 108 locations throughout Wisconsin. So
and there's gonna be a lot of good fish fries and old fashioned in Wisconsin. So I think you're pretty safe. But it's cool that you have that, and you have the app now basically too, right? So you can use it. And what's a good tip for someone? Because I know that, like we were talking about earlier, when you did some of that first content, you're doing your own kind of fish fry, right? You're battering up the fish. What's a good maybe advanced move, or just a move for someone if they want to do it themselves, just to cook up some.
First, you got to catch the bluegill, which is a good step, then fillet it. And then Getting the oil like perfectly. I don't know the exact temperature, but you can take a tiny little piece of bluegill and just dip it in there and
like
do
a
a little
sample,
test
kinda?
sample.
Okay.
And then once it's finally bubbling to like a perfectly, I don't know how to explain it, but
You just kind of you
just sample it, do a little test sample before, and then you don't want to throw your good pieces in there until it's ready. So
kind of sample one of those little pieces and
Yep.
then see how it goes. And then is it keys making sure you're using fresh, good oil and obviously catching your own, getting some
absolutely, and a good batter. Like I use Liney's honey vice a lot.
Ooh, okay.
Because that's very popular around the area.
Yep.
So you can't go wrong with Liney's honey as a beer batter with the flour and all the seasoning in it. So
Yep. That's your go-to. So if you're out there and you want to try, get the Liney's honey vice and then rock it from there.
Yeah.
Make sure you catch it first, though.
make sure you catch it, fillet it first.
Sometimes it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah, if you want to do your own. Absolutely.
Yeah. What I mean, obviously, there's all kinds of wonderful places to go, and you can check them on here. But every once in a while, maybe you want to do it on your own. And obviously, you're big into fishing, especially ice fishing. You know that's one of your kind of favorite pastimes.
Yeah,
right?
I call it ice drinking in Wisconsin. 'Cause,
There's a mixture of both, too, right?
Well, in Wisconsin, most people are always going to have at least a beer in their hand, especially if you're tip up fishing. You're waiting for the flags to pop up. That's why I created the tip shot. So
which you were kind enough to give me. I don't know, it was a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
whatever
last
it was.
year. Last year.
Yeah, that thing's
So Beaver Dam tip ups made in Wisconsin since 1930. They don't even realize the holes in their tip ups are perfect for like a shot glass, the smaller hole. And you can even do like a bomb shot for the bigger hole.
Yeah.
So I invented the tip shot.
You looked at that and you go, I know there's two things that you do when you're ice fishing, ice drinking, and this thing works well for both, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and then last year, actually, when I gave you yours, it was a milder winter. There wasn't as much snow or there wasn't as much ice, so I started handing out tip shots to like bars and restaurants just to promote local business and say, why don't you come out and have a tip shot and get some food and drinks and help these businesses out.
Right. They were hurting with that weather. The winter wasn't a great one.
So I think I hit about 40 locations.
Did you?
Yeah.
Very nice.
So the ones on the lakes and the ones that are on the snowmobile trails, I tried to hit the most because they benefit mostly from all the traffic from the snowmobile trails, which they didn't have last year. So
we kind of
tried to help them out.
We've had more snow and then it melted and then we got more snow. So hopefully we'll get more snow overall this winter.
Yep.
I shouldn't ask you to divulge your ice fishing spots, but maybe you could tell me what's the perfect ice fishing day. What does that look like for you? And ice fishing, ice drinking day, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I literally just came back from Hayward this week. I was up at a really nice cabin.
Yeah, I
on
saw
a
that
lake,
on social media.
catching some really big walleyes. Yeah. So, perfect day for me is sitting in a cabin on a lake. Sometimes you can window fish from the cabin, or else you just sit on the shoreline having a beer or a drink, and then having a bunch of friends and family out tip up fishing.
Yep.
Catching some big walleyes. We caught the biggest one was like 26, really fat.
Okay.
And we caught a lot of pike, but that's a perfect day for me. Just relaxing. And then you have to have a fireplace in the cabin too to make it official.
I agree. That is sweet. I've got a little cabin. I don't have one, but it needs one. It just doesn't have space for it. But that does add to the, feels like, especially if it's colder out and you got a little snow coming down here and there, it makes it pretty nice. So
yeah, absolutely.
And then hopefully your flags are going up out there. You're not just sitting around all day.
Right.
You gotta catch something. Otherwise you just end up you go somewhere and get the fish right?
Catching a buzz at least.
Yeah. As long as you got some cold drinks, you're probably okay either way. But it is nice to catch a few fish here and there, right?
Yeah, so absolutely. And then you could have your own fish fry too. But
if
you catch too big of a walleyes, I always release it. Anything over like 23, 24, just throw them back.
Okay.
Let somebody else catch them, or you can catch them again. So as a sport, I love to recatch. I've recaught walleyes before, but you can tell by the marks of some of them, which is really cool. So
yeah, my kids are really big into fishing, and they just do catch and release all the time. Probably because I just don't have the skills of. I don't want to ruin the fish. I just have never been super good at it. So we used to have an older neighbor that would help us with that because he's just the man at it. And I'm like, I can do it, but I don't. It's got to be the right size. 'Cause I don't want to be the one that ruins it. And I'm like, just throw it back and we'll catch it again. Unless, So, but it's fun because part of it is the sport of catching them, right? And then, you just never know what you're going to get. And then you get something, something monster out there. Or like, if no one else sees it, then it is a monster regardless. And every year the story gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And, I always post, like, I'm up in Hayward and everybody's asking what lake, and I always make sure I don't say the lake because I don't want them catching my big fish.
Right. You got to keep
rule number one.
Yeah. Well, Charlie Barron told me one time, if I told you where my walleye spot was, that wasn't my walleye spot. Yeah. And I said, I believe it.
Literally. I just tell them like the biggest, most populated lake. Yeah. Just say like Round Lake or something.
Right. They're like, Ryan, I've searched all over for you. Oh yeah, I must have just left. Huh?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's because I think it sounds like the Hayward area is the area you like to head up to quite a bit, which is a beautiful area. It's a great area, a lot of lakes. So
my best walleye fishing day ever though was actually the lake that Charlie mentioned. I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah,
with his grandpa.
Yep.
But we caught 74 walleyes that day in the summer. So, and we kept track by using NFL players' numbers. So number 1 was like Warren Moon. Number 4 was Brett Favre.
Yep.
We tried to use as many Packer players to keep track. So we made it all the way up to 74. So that's a good day. Me and my 2 cousins. So
that's a pretty impressive day. So,
I'm not going to tell you what lake it is.
No, I don't think I think you need to keep that one under wraps, man. I know what lake you're talking about. I think. So we'll just keep.
You can go rewatch it. Charlie, don't tell him.
Yeah.
Don't ever say the lake, Charlie.
I'll find you. It's the last time I drink the Barron's brandy.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things that I know, obviously, you like to. I like ice fishing. You're going to the supper clubs. Fish fries. You also are a Wisconsin sports fan, Packers fan, Badger fan. I think when I heard it, you were doing a podcast. You were on the season ticket list for the GA, but you got the other tickets in the meantime, right?
Yep.
Because when did you sign up for the regular GA general admission ones?
1998, I was 60,000. Now I'm about 34,000. So it's about 1,000 a year. It's only gone down. So
you're making progress.
And if you sign up today, there's 150,000. So at that rate, you'll get them 150 years from now.
Yeah. Probably.
It's ridiculous, but
it is it's the man, right? But then you signed up for the other tickets, right? The
outdoor club seats. I signed up in 2005, got them in 2011, right after the Packers won the Super Bowl. So it was a perfect time to get those.
Yeah.
But
that is good timing.
Yep. Indoor, outdoor. Yeah. You go up there too. So it's beautiful up there. I usually I love sitting in the bleachers, but I'm getting a little older now. I like I'd rather be comfortable, I think, but
and you got a little one too, and I'm not super little, but it's easier if they're with you to be able to have a little bit more comfortable seat, get to the bathrooms a little easier, and things like that. So
you never know who you're going to sit by in the bleachers, though. That's the difference. You don't want to sit by.
Man. Well, it depends. Yeah, sometimes
you don't want to sit by some Bears fans. Being feisty, Especially if you have your 8-year-old daughter with. So
I had I think he was about when I brought my son, my oldest son, and he was about 8. And the guys are out, they were just dropping. Then they always, sorry, man. And it's like, yeah, it's all right, dude. I mean, we're in the bleachers. It is what it is. But I think that the first game that the Packers beat the Giants, so it was a good game for him to go. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was so cold. But that was the first game I brought him to. But you're right. I mean, even Packers fans, especially in a night game. People have been drinking for a long time.
All day.
It's hard to keep her filtered at that point.
Really, yeah. They start in lot 1 and they go in and keep drinking, and it turns into like a 12-hour day sometimes.
I know. Do you have a favorite Lambeau memory?
I think it's the very first time I ever saw Brett Favre, and I didn't even know who he was at the time. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah. Way back in 1992, it was the very first scrimmage ever.
Okay.
Now it's called Family Night.
Yep.
And it was only like a quarter of the stadium full. And I was there. I didn't know who Brett Favre was at the time. I was there for Don Makowski.
Yeah.
Who was all feathered and lethal,
Yeah.
And I was there like, man, that's magic right there. And then all of a sudden I hear like a ball just whistling and smack some hands.
Yeah.
And it was this guy wearing number 4. And I didn't know who it was. So I looked at the player list with the numbers to see. And I looked down like, who the heck is Brett Favre?
That's right.
And then the guy he was throwing these really hard balls at was actually Andy Reid, who's actually the Chiefs head coach and has won multiple Super Bowls now. So he was actually a coaching assistant with Brett Favre back in 1992. People don't even realize that. So
yeah. So also that's how Jim McMahon got over as a backup because Andy Reid played with Jim McMahon. That's what Jim said. And so he said, that Packer Bears rivalry is just too strong. But Andy Reid said, you got to get up here. And obviously it made sense because he got up there. It's kind of crazy thinking of Jim McMahon and Brett Favre in the same locker room. He was pretty quiet about that, but like that they were there. And Andy Reid has obviously been a legendary coach after that too. I mean, the guy.
Who knew?
I know.
The entire coaching staff from the 90s is like legendary.
The 90s Packers were pretty legendary. I had, and it's not out actually, but it probably will be by the time this comes out, Gilbert Brown on, and he was saying, everybody talks about the 85 Bears defense. What about the 96 Packers defense? And it's true. I mean, Reggie, Gilbert, that you name it, Leroy Butler, all that stuff. And that team had a lot of talent and both coaching and player-wise, right? And that's kind of the cool thing about it.
Well, that's a part of it. Like my memory about Brett Favre seeing him for the first time, and I got his autograph after that. I didn't even know who he was, which is special.
Thinking though, and you knew it. You recognized talent.
Yeah,
you heard
all
it.
my attention went from Magic to Brett. And then
didn't last long for Magic, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then I was around Reggie White too, like as a kid. In 1993, got his autograph, and it was like he was like bigger than life, and I was blessed to even get his autograph, stand next to him, and the Minister of Defense, man.
Yeah, well, because I moved to Green Bay when I think it was 1989, and so my brother Adam and I used to go there a lot, and I remember because that back then, I was talking about Gilbert Brown, where Gilbert Brown and I were talking about, you remember this, the practice facility was just like a chain link fence with almost like the Little League bleachers. That's all it was. So, and there wasn't these lines for waiting on bikes and stuff. You just went there and you could run into, like you said, you could run into a Packer. I remember seeing Reggie White and being like, geez, man, that guy's huge.
Back in the day, it was like a free for all. It wasn't all fenced off like it is now. It was, you could literally the bleachers were right on the road and there were literally cars just whipping by. Like you don't want to get hit. But I just remember the players could just walk anywhere.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was a different experience. I mean, not that Lambeau's bad now, but that experience for people like myself and yourself that grew up there, it's totally different. And it was like you were part. Packers were really part of the town. You were part of the pack. You just walk down there, drop in, and you're in the mix of it. Like, I mean, there you are. You got an autograph from Brett Favre, and you heard a ball whiz past. Right,
right.
It doesn't happen anymore. You got to go in that whole. They kind of got the whole facility now for watching practice, basically.
Yeah. I snuck in the Don Hudson Center once with my brother in 1998. The
Did
door was just wide open. Brett Favre was in there. I'm like, what are we going to do? The door's open.
Would you guys just kind of hang in the corner and watch it?
There's nobody by the door. We just might as well walk in, watch practice.
Just make it
Then
look
we
like
just walk back out. Sorry, Packers.
Yeah. Well, they know you guys aren't spying. That's what I was telling. I think it might have been Gilbert Brown was telling too when we were younger. My mom, because they would, when it got, I think later in preseason they would put up the tarp around so that you couldn't see. And my mom would let us just sit on top of the van. And I mean, nobody they know we're not working for the team. Those
as long as you don't have cameras or something, you're good.
You're just a bunch of 9-year-old or 10-year-old kids, or whatever we were. I don't know.
Got to keep those bears.
Yeah, they were looking for they were looking for a guy with a mustache.
Yeah, that dude has a camera and a mustache. Get him out of here. Call the cops.
Yeah, call the cops. Yeah, I've you do that funny character too. There's like the cops and it's like the Kwik Trip we'll call there was like I forget like the Kwik Trip burglar or whatever is that.
Oh yeah, I did Wisco cop. And,
the Wisco cop. I like the Wisco cop.
I did the Glazer burglar, but that was fun.
Or Glazer burglar. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I tried to do something different for Kwik Trip and came up with just a random character. See how it went.
Burglar.
Yeah.
Glazes are good though.
Yep.
I could see a reason to steal those. How about, because I know you do the tailgating stuff, which everybody's tons of fun, and I've seen you've got the shot tip up, but there's they've got the big shot skis and all that stuff. So, what's any favorite memories of tailgating at Lambeau?
Well, honestly, just going there and meeting new people and even welcoming the fans from other teams. Like, there's a lot of teams that don't welcome other out of state fans or from other teams, but like even just going to Lot 1 for the first time and seeing how much, like Wisconsin, like we tailgate harder than most states party is what I'm going to say about Lot 1. So
Lot 1's a little,
but and then I hang out with my buddies down there now. And we hand out my Chedka Bloody Marys down there for free too now. So
That's pretty fun.
you got to get your Bloody Marys in before you head into Lambeau too, just get that Wisconsin in you. So
Well, so I'm on that subject. So you've come out with Chedka, and I think came out with it in 2025, about a year ago, right?
Yep.
So what made you think, hey, I'm going to come out with? What was the inspiration behind that?
well, the most Wisconsin thing there is, I think, is cheese. I mean, we are cheeseheads, and then we also are like the Bloody Mary capital of the world.
Sure.
We sell more Bloody Marys than anybody, so, and drink more Bloody Marys. So we might as well combine cheese and Bloody Marys and make a vodka
Yeah.
for Bloody Marys. And it is the very first distributed cheddar cheese flavored vodka ever. So, and it's doing well. It's in hundreds of locations.
Yeah.
So, right in Stadium View, they promote it, sell a lot. So,
Stadium View's iconic too. And is that one of the inspirations? Was like, this would be a good. I mean, I'm sure you can use it for everything, but this would be good for Bloody Marys, like this Chedka.
that was the number one.
Yeah.
A lot of people like it as shot, some don't, but it's all about your taste buds. I feel like most people like it than not, but a lot of people, they're kind of like, I don't know.
But everybody likes in the Bloody Mary.
yeah.
Sounds like,
yeah.
right?
I'd say like 95% of people really like it in a Bloody Mary or love it. So
What's a good place to get a Bloody? I mean, obviously Stadium View, great place to get a Bloody Mary. But what's maybe an unknown or little known place to get a good Bloody Mary?
oh man, there's so many good ones.
And yeah, I'm not ruling out the mini. I mean, I know you've been at so many places,
Okay.
but first thing that comes to your head.
Well, I spent a lot of time in Hayward. Might as well bring up a iconic fishing and dive bar, and that's the Moccasin in downtown Hayward. I don't know where the world record muskie is.
Yeah.
And the reason I love it is they have a really good mix, but they also give you some horseradish on the side. And I'm a big horseradish guy, so I like to add some horseradish in there. Not everybody does that. Sometimes I even carry my own horseradish around.
Dude, I love that.
I
You got
really
your
do,
own.
because I think it tops it off. And
Right.
I don't like a ton of spice as far as
Yeah.
being too hot, but horseradish I love. So,
Just a little bite to it,
Yeah.
like that.
So-
it's kind of it looks like that's maybe a secret, right? A little horseradish. And if they don't have it, you've got some in your pocket.
Yeah.
So if someone
Pocket
sees Ryan
horseradish.
Rubel out and you're kind of like, hey, Ryan, it's bloody time. You know,
yeah,
help me out, buddy.
yeah.
Give me some of that
Bring some
horseradish.
pocket cheese, some pocket horseradish, and some Chedka, and you're good.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I like the inspiration of putting in the bloodies, because I know Bloody Marys are they're such a huge thing in Wisconsin, and then to make a vodka that speaks to that and helps make those even better. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. We
it
are in
took
the
us-
dairy state, and
Took us a while to make it, just to make it clear and actually taste like cheese is not easy. So we wanted it clear for presentation. So
it
makes
you kind of need a clear vodka, right?
Yep.
And so that then but you also want to have the flavor. So it sounds like you guys went through the R&D part for a while to get it perfect, right?
it literally took a year and a half to get where it's at. So
You probably
And
had
then-
vodka shots during that.
yeah. Yeah. And then I have another vodka coming out.
Oh, yeah?
The flavor's already done. I can't tell.
Can't tell us yet. When it comes out, you have to let me know. Send me another one.
Yep.
We got one on the shelf right now behind us, the Chedka. So you have to let me know what this new flavor is when
Yeah.
you get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it mixes perfectly with Chedka though. Just
All
gonna
right.
say
All right.
that.
Well, we get a little hint here. So we'll find out when you do the reveal. So you kind of gave me a really good story about walleye fishing. We're not going to divulge the location, but what's one of your favorite memories of ice fishing or ice drinking? Because I think in the walleye one was not ice fishing. That was just regular fishing.
Yeah, that
You were
was-
just
that
on
was
the boat,
summertime.
just hammering them.
Yep,
Right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hanging out in Cheddka with one of my buddies. We weren't sure how many walleyes we were going to catch that night, so we were like, and this is Wisconsin, it's ice drinking, so we're like, let's just do a shot for every walleye we catch. And we ended up catching 18 walleyes. We didn't do 18 shots. We stopped around half of that
That's
because
still
we were
strong,
hammering
though.
them,
Yeah.
but that's still a good night.
Ooh,
So
9 shots, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's advisable you didn't go to 18. So how'd that night go then? Pretty fun.
Yeah, we had to take it easy. We drank some water and ate, so we were good. But
Yeah.
we were staying right on the lake there, so we didn't have to drive or anything.
Yeah.
But
You're being safe.
be
but-
responsible when
Right.
you're ice drinking.
Well, it's best if I think you pointed out earlier, if you can have a place that's right by the lake, so you can look out, maybe see your tip ups. You got a nice warm fireplace inside. You can go cook some food or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though I've been out ice fishing and you run into some good ice chefs out there that are cooking up some burgers or whatever for you. That's always that's a veteran move when you see a guy and you're like, hey, you want a burger? I'm like, gee, you just helping people out here like that. That's that's a Wisconsin thing to do though.
Burgers or brats on the grill
and brats too. But
while you're catching some fish on your tip ups and
right, because if you're sitting there fishing and you can smell it, but when the neighbor guy goes, hey, you know what? Why don't you come over here and have one of these? Doesn't beat that, right? Then you can come over. Hopefully, you can reciprocate with a couple beers, but,
right? Exchange a brat for a beer or whatever.
That's a good deal,
Wisconsin way.
Yeah. So, how about? And you went into this a little bit, but is there? We were talking about kind of dive bars, but what any other like? Obviously, Jared covers all kinds of dive bars, but is there any hidden gems that you're probably up in Northwoods, but anywhere that you just maybe are not well known, underrated? Anything like that?
Yeah, there's one right by my house called Sportsman's in Chippewa Falls. It's in between a river and Lake Hallie. And so I go there. Super cheap drinks, classic, like wood paneling, mounts.
Yep.
Plus, you can actually fish on the river if you want, or fish on Lake Hallie. So you got the best of both worlds in between a river and a lake and a dive bar.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites as far as local Sportsman's Lodge.
Have you, so I was asking Jared about this, and I don't know if I've run into anything, but he had one bar, ran into a bearded dragon or an iguana or something.
I think I heard that story.
Have you ever run into anything exotic like that at a dive bar?
I can't say nothing crazy. Like tons of awesome dogs everywhere. It's not a dive bar until you have a really good dog.
Yeah, usually there's real friendly, really nice.
I don't know, some cats. Just running around, like slapping people's drinks off. I think I saw that one time at a dive bar. You don't want that, but
have you ever been to? And this is kind of on a different subject. Still, I don't know if you call it dive bar. I think it's a legendary bar. But have you ever been to Flaters up in?
Yep.
Dude, I love that bar.
A while. It's been a while.
Yeah,
that's a really cool.
My
bar.
grandpa lived right down the river, the Chippewa River, a little ways, and so we used to. I mean, I was going to Flaters having drinks before. I was probably. Yeah, I was a little guy. Yeah, I was a little guy.
That's where you got broken.
Oh yeah, my grandpa used to drink those PBR shorties all the time, and so we knew the Flaters pretty well. And then in the summer too, we just tubed down the Chippewa from my grandpa's right to Flaters, and then they always had that little campground. There's always stuff going on. It was a great place.
But, great location.
Yeah, I think so I know what I was going to ask you about is. And I don't know, you've been to a lot of the bars in Wisconsin, and I think this is a big staple, at least for me, is like pizza at bars. Is there a favorite place you have for bar pizza? Or
anything that has just extra cheesy, lots of matzah, or any really good, like Wisconsin, or...
Are you a pizza fry guy?
I like pizza fries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you're snowmobiling, I think that sometimes that's the go-to move. You get a pizza fry or something. Even if they just throw it in the little pizza timer oven, not bad.
Yeah, you got to get your belly full.
I know.
Keep sledding.
So you keep going, right? You got to stay warm. You get a beer and some pizza fry, and you roll on to the next.
But you are right, though. I'm more of a fish fry guy. I hit the fish fries for dive bars. Sometimes I hit multiple fish fries in the same day.
Are you serious?
Like lunchtime, dinner time. My record is 3 in one day. So,
jeez. When you did 3 in one day, was it different kind of fish each time, or did you just?
Yeah, you can get like Liney's beer battered, and then you get pan fried, and then you can get some like just lightly battered perch or lightly fried perch too. So mix it up.
Yeah,
you don't want
good
all
variety.
the same.
Yeah, you gotta have something a little bit different. But 3 in one day is strong.
Yep.
I'm not. I think I don't know if I've done 2 in one day. I like fish fry, but I've never done that. But I'm also not I've got to find maybe like some good locations that were closer to make that work to get the variety. You already had scoped out. I mean, that's why you help with the book. I'd be like, probably end up with the same thing. I'd be like, man, I'm at the little bit different, but the same kind, same. I know what I was also going to ask you, because you have been born and raised in Wisconsin. A lot of that was north of 8. What's an iconic like Midwest childhood memory that you can think of?
Probably first time ever just fishing with my grandpa. He owned a resort in Crandon too, called Rubel's Resort, right on Lake Matanga.
All right.
And he loved to fish. And my earliest memory ever of fishing was like with my grandpa. I was probably like 4 or 5, and we were catching jumbo perch off the side of the boat with our cane poles because we were so young. And then he's like, just throw it in there, rip another jumbo perch, throw it in the bottom of the boat, and then catch another one as soon as you can because the bite's going to be really fast.
Right.
And the entire bottom of the boat is just flopping of jumbo perch.
Jeez.
So that's like one of my earliest and funnest memories, though.
Yeah, that's a good core Midwest memory.
Yeah. Bunch of jumbo perch just flopping, and then you have a fish fry after that. And
fish fry's been in your blood since you were little. You got no choice at this point. That's why you're the fish. You never think about it. That's why you do 3 fish fries in one day.
Absolutely.
Did your grandpa like old fashions too?
Yeah, he liked everything. Like he owned the bar and resort.
Yeah,
he was an entertainer. Like Rubel's Resort, he played accordion.
Really?
And, he sang in his own polka band. So entertainer. He was like a fishing guide. He loved to hunt. He was actually a World War II veteran too. So
very cool. I think I've seen one of your posts of him, like on Veterans Day or something too. So that's awesome.
And I have so he came back from World War II, and he was lucky to be alive, obviously.
Yep.
And I have his nice 8-point buck that he shot from 1944, and it's hanging in my garage bar. So that's by far the best mount I will ever have in my life, no matter how big of a buck I get. So that's
it's
number
cool
one.
that you have it. Well, and that gets in kind of one of the last questions I was going to ask you. Could be kind of similar, but it's who's a Midwest legend to you? Because this is the Midwest Legends, and you're like the original Wisconsin content creator guy, and inspired Charlie Behrens and a lot of other folks as well, and you're still at it today, still representing Wisconsin and the Midwest, still giving folks in Illinois a hard time.
Yeah. Well, I think it actually is my grandpa, though, because he was a World War II veteran, and everything like that he did inspired me, whether it was hunting, fishing, watching the Packers, Badgers, entertaining people. So definitely my number one Midwest legend is my grandpa. So
he sounds like a legend too.
Yeah.
He's a veteran of World War II. He ran a resort, obviously knew how to fish, was a fishing guy. He was playing, he played the accordion. He did everything up there.
And he was very Midwest nice too. So if you have people coming up from Chicago, they're trying to catch some fish to take home, he would actually give them fish because they're probably not going to catch any because they don't know they're bass from walleye anyway. So he would always make sure people went home with fish.
What a nice guy. He's like, you're going to go home with fish one way or another. No, I got you. Don't worry about it. So you could tell your friends back home you caught all these.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Such a good dude.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's very cool. Well, yeah, what an inspiration for you, and obviously helped set you up to be kind of the Midwest guy in Wisconsin, the guy you are. You got those early memories and roots right off the bat from from a Midwest legend himself. So very cool.
Yeah, he's literally why I started my pages like early 2012, like Wisconsin hunting, fishing, all on Facebook. So definitely him.
I was going to wrap it up, but I actually forgot to ask you, do you have any good hunting stories? I feel like you might have a good hunting story.
Nothing crazy. You ever been accidentally shot at, though, while hunting?
No.
Like, it was way back in like early 90s. My brother and I were out hunting with my buddies over in New Richmond, not far from here. So it's very hilly, rolling hills.
Okay.
And we were doing separate deer drives, and all of a sudden we hear some shots. It's like, oh, my buddy must be shooting at a buck. And all of a sudden you're hearing like, pew, pew, right over the top of your head. And I'm like, pretty sure those are bullets. We should probably get down on the ground. So me and my brother lay down. We put our blaze orange hats on our tips of our guns and wave our flag.
I thought you were going to put the white flag up, but it makes sense.
This is the orange flag. We give up. But
we're not deer. We're not deer.
So, I mean, obviously nothing bad happened, but
thankfully,
that's the first time I ever heard bullets flying above my head. So it's kind of like you were in deer war.
Yeah, not supposed to happen in deer hunting. You're only supposed to be shooting, not on the receiver.
Yeah.
So,
but nothing like I've shot some decent bucks, but nothing crazy. But that one's definitely memorable because it was so early on. But
that's a pretty memorable one, and thankfully nobody got shot. But I mean, hopefully after that, whoever's doing the shooting was a little more careful next time.
For real.
Hopefully they saw the blaze orange flag right away. Not a deer. You maybe have to get a shirts next time, not a deer for your buddy. But
I know I posted that meme before. There's actually a dude that said not a deer inside festival, and I had the picture sent to me and it blew up. That was for probably the blue plates.
Yeah. I wanted to do that once for one of our billboards I think probably because I saw it on your page. I thought that'd be fun, is just replace one of my billboards, especially on 29 where there's all the other lawyers are putting up billboards now, and just have one and just my face, with blaze orange, and his next to it would say not a deer. So
That'd
you
be
might
funny.
see that next season,
Yeah.
next hunting season.
That'd
I
be
just
really
thought it'd be funny because there's all that stuff going on in 29, and there's like a guy now posting, I just bought this so that another injury lawyer can't, and which I think is hilarious that he did that. It's great. But then I thought, well, I gotta step it up here too, because let's have some fun. And 29 is kind of my stomping ground because, like I said, I was born in Eau Claire, lived in Sheboygan, lived in Green Bay for most of my life, went to college at Point. So I was always running 29. So it's like, it's kind of funny when I see these other lawyers from, like whether Milwaukee or Madison or wherever on there. And then I see people making fun of it. I'm like, man, I'm a 29 guy, man. I'm like, this, I used to, back in the day, cause you're old enough, you and I are similar in age. You're a little bit younger than me, I think. We're pretty close. I was born in 81, but,
I got a few years on you.
Yeah, we're pretty close. But you remember 29 when it was just 2 lane,
Yeah,
right?
it sucked, man. Just going to Packer games, it took forever.
Crazy, right? 29, 2 lane, slow as can be, dangerous at night because you got semis coming right at you. And did you ever stop in Abbotsford? It used to be Mr. B's truck stop. Man, that place was awesome. I don't know.
I feel like I probably have. I just don't remember the name.
I get grilled cheese when I was a kid and like a strawberry shake. The place was awesome. But then once they put 29 as the 4 lane, it kind of went around.
Oh, okay.
So then I'd never been there, and I was asking somebody, and I don't know if it was Matt Ramage or someone about it. But man, that place was iconic. But that's how back in, your original Wisconsin when you're driving 29 when it was 2 lanes, man.
I remember if they played Minnesota, there would always be a traffic jam in like Wausau area because you have to stop at a stoplight and then take a left, and everybody going back to Minnesota was jamming up the roads on our way home.
And the Wisconsin State Patrol were probably having a field day looking for the Minnesota plates.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's a freeway now.
Oh, it's so much nicer.
We got old.
It can get really busy coming out of Green Bay on games like that. But after that, there's been some construction, so it slowed things down. But that's a nice 29. 4 lanes is so much nicer than like 94. It's just, I enjoy that drive. Me and one of the guys did that too on our motorcycles this summer. It was just awesome. There was a bunch of road construction that sucked. So we jumped off and went south at Wausau. We went down, I was at 39 there, right? So, but it was so fun. It was great. So,
easy drive.
Yeah, easy drive. And then a lot of it's really rural, farm fields, few churches. There's not much other bunch of idiot lawyers with billboards, including myself. So, but anyway. Wait, well, Ryan, thanks for being on, man. You are a Midwest legend. I really appreciate you coming and doing this. And I'm excited to find out what your new vodka is. So, send me a bottle or drop off a bottle when you get that out. Or just send some more hints, like randomly. Just send me a message with a hint, and I'll just keep trying to guess until I get it. So,
well, thanks for having me on, man. And I'll get you a bottle, a little pair well with Chedka. And I appreciate the good chat today. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for braving the snowy roads again, as is Wisconsin winter.
Just happy to get here.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Hey, wait, don't head out just yet. Do you have a story that's so Midwest it couldn't have happened anywhere else? Or do you know a Midwest legend in your own life? Give me a call at 866-MWLEGND. Your story may be featured on our future episode or on our socials. Looking forward to hearing your Midwest legend.